think, yeah, yeah. That's funny. All right, let's do this. Hopefully, hopefully we will last here. Had to do a little reset here. I'm glad to know that I'm not the only one that's dealing with this, because like we got the same issues at work. Entire network, literally all last week at work, our internet's just down. We couldn't do nothing at work. So I know I'm not the only one suffering through this. I'm dealing with this at home. I'm dealing with this at work. I can at least live with that. It's like, okay, it's happening in my workplace. It's happening at home. I could live with that. Let's see. All right, let's do this. Yep. That's gonna cause problems. Oh, that's crazy. Sorry, I gotta take these headphones off. I'm listening to something right now. All right, let's see. Let's see. Okay. I think we're good. Hopefully. We'll see how this goes. We will see how this goes. We will see how this goes. Oh, God. Nope. All right. Boy, let's see. All right. Damn. All right, let me see. Okay, I've already done some upgrades here. What's going on, everybody? Just doing some early setups here. I think I've already. Wait a minute. Okay, yeah. Nah, nah. Uh huh. Already. Hmm. Alrighty. Honestly, I think I've done everything I need to do here. We're gonna get started soon. Just doing some early stuff here while I got the time, because we out here to chill. This is a post-game recap of the Ravens and Bengals game. We will be getting started soon, so stay tuned for that. But I hope you guys are doing well. Let me see here. Do I need to go with? Nah, I can't wear that. I cannot. I'm gonna stick with my Assassin's Creed look. I think I'm gonna rock with that. But what's going on to some of you guys in the chat? All right, I think there's a few things we could do. Oh wait, let's see. All right, I gotta do that. Let me look at my powers as well. Serious damage. Good. I don't think I really need to heal anymore. Wait. I might need some healing abilities. Everyone else here don't have a healer. All right, yeah, we can rock with this, or we can go with stand. It don't matter. We can go with tool shed. Excuse me. But what is going on, everybody? As I'm setting up, I'm trying to still see. We are still live. I'm trying to have this run for a bit before we actually get started in our discussion in regards to this post-game recap here for the Ravens and the Bengals. So we will be getting started soon. However, I got to make sure the connection is consistent enough for us to get started, hopefully. So give me a little time here as I'm getting this whole situation figured out. All right. That's funny. All right, let's see here. Alrighty. Should be an interesting one to talk about. Wait. Let me. No, I'm supposed to. Oh God. I should have taken that hit. That was not what I wanted to do. Let me move this here. Just gotta start this up here. But what's going on to everybody here? Might as well make sure you don't get a turn. Oh, wait. I forgot. I could do that. Oh, wait. Ah. There we go. Let's put him to bed. All right, cool. I think I have a couple of missions I still have left to do. There we go. Still smoke, everybody. There we go from that. Let's see. Can I hit? No. All right, I'm gonna just keep Call Girl right here. There we go. I'll do this one. What's going on, Daniel? Appreciate you stopping by. We're just, chilling out right now. I gotta let the stream run a little bit longer just to make sure the consistency is still there before I actually get started. Oh, he walked up to me. He wanted to get packed up. Hold on for a second. Had to pack him up real quick. He wanted to get packed up. All right, let's see. Oh, what? Oh, nah. Let's see. There we go. Do damage right there. And move him to the side. Let's see. What else could I do? Oh, easy. Yep. That's next. Alrighty. And I can pack him up like that. All right, cool. I still got it. But what is going on, everybody? Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys are enjoying your day. Obviously, I think a lot of Ravens fans are very happy with how things went today. Ravens took on the Cincinnati Bengals and pitched a shutout. We will speak on this. Yeah, Ravens win, Chiefs out, everybody happy. Pretty much, I guess. Though, I don't know. This is probably the worst possible season. It's the worst. What? Oh, no, you didn't. God. This is probably the worst season for me in terms of reactions to this. Because, I mean, it's cool. I get it, Chiefs finally going down. But I haven't been that locked into football this year, so it makes it very difficult for me to care. I'll say this, though. If this is truly the end of the Kansas City Chiefs run, what a run. I mean, Mahomes, AFC Championship game appearance every single year of his career. So it's 8 AFC Championship game appearances. 8 AFC Championship game appearances. 5 Super Bowl appearances. 3 rings. If this is the end of the Chiefs dynasty, what a run. Like, realistically, what a run. Feel however you want to feel about him. What a run. I've already told you guys how I feel about it. I'm a Dodgers fan. I'm trying to see my team three-peat. I'm always for teams that are trying to do everything possible to make sure they win as many championships as possible. You want to put yourself in that position to win. OKC's in that same situation right now where they're trying to build a dynasty. The Dodgers are establishing the dynasty. 3 championships in 5 years. They want a three-peat, become the first team to three-peat since the Yankees did it from 98 to 2000. And the Chiefs, they were trying to three-peat as well. They fell short last year, but they won 3 championships in 5 years, 5 Super Bowls in 6 years, and 8 straight AFC championship appearances. I mean, this is some serious stuff, man. This is an amazing run. I don't think this is going to be the end of Mahomes competing for championships, but this iteration of the Kansas City Chiefs is over. Travis Kelce's probably going to retire. I think that's safe to say. He's going to retire. He might try to come back next year because he was not satisfied with how things went this year. So it's possible. Go to the probably bathroom at the playground. Meet Professor Chaos at the back. I still have a couple things. Okay, all right. Let's do that. Let's do that first. So with the Chiefs, again, this iteration is going to be something that's special. However you feel about it, however you feel about it. But it's been one hell of a run for them, and I'm not going to hate on it. I'm not going to hate on it, man. I'm not going to hate on it. What a hell of a run. Now, it's unfortunate because I think everybody would have been fine. I think everybody would have been fine or more fine with everybody would have been more fine with the Chiefs losing without Mahomes suffering the torn ACL. But it's how it is. I just got to say, the Mahomes, man, prayers up to you, big dog. Best of luck during the whole the rehab process, because, again, coming back from torn ACL, he's got to get surgery, and then he's got to go through the whole rehab process. It's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate. Sending my prayers to that guy suffering an injury like that. That is an injury that could potentially affect him in the long run. People have already made their comparisons between him and Brady, because Brady was working in 2007. Brady was working on getting his 4th ring. So he was working on getting his 4th ring, and he failed to get it in 07 because they lost to the Giants. And then in 08, we ended up seeing Brady go down with a torn ACL first game of the season, and that ended their Super Bowl hopes, but it didn't end the season for the Patriots, at least at that moment. Then you get this situation now with Mahomes. He was working on getting his 4th championship. He lost to the Eagles. And then this year, things don't go the way the Chiefs wanted to go. They get eliminated, and he ends up suffering a torn ACL. So people have made those type of comparisons there. But, yeah, we'll see. We'll see how things go for the Chiefs. They're not exactly in the best situation cap-wise in terms of the amount of space they have and everything. They're not in a good situation right now, but honestly, you can live with it because, again, they won 3 championships. If that's all they get with Mahomes, you live with it. At the very worst, they are the 2nd greatest dynasty we have seen. Nothing's going to match the New England Patriots. We get it. But they are the 2nd greatest dynasty we've seen. Hell of a run for Mahomes and the Chiefs. If this ends up being the end-all, be-all for the Chiefs, what a hell of a ride. Now, I sat back and said Mahomes is probably going to finish with 5 rings. I don't think he's done competing for titles. But as of right now, the Chiefs, this iteration of the Kansas City Chiefs is not going to cut it. And questions will arise. Is it time for Andy Reid to probably call it a career? You know, you got 3 championships. You were already one of the best coaches in the league. You were already heading on that Hall of Fame pace as a coach. It's just you needed the rings to solidify your legacy. And you got 3 rings here with the Chiefs. Is it time for him to retire as well? Do they move off of him? I don't know. I don't know how this is going to ultimately go. So it is interesting. I will say that. It is interesting in the thought process there. Yeah, I still think Travis Kelce is ultimately going to retire as well. But then again, he may be stubborn and come back next year just because he's like, I don't want to end on this note. But if that's the end of the Chiefs dynasty, what a run. What a run. What a run. Since the Chiefs are out, no one has an excuse of not making it to the Super Bowl now. No one has an excuse. Dude, there's only one spot. So you're saying everybody else in the AFC no longer, everyone that's competing for a playoff spot no longer has an excuse to not make the Super Bowl. I don't know if that's exactly how it works. It just depends on how you look at it. If anything, this probably puts the most pressure on the Bills. Even though I don't look at the Bills as the favorites to come out of the AFC, the boogeyman, their biggest kryptonite during this era, and the Chiefs are now gone. So if the Bills can't, we'll have a discussion about that. Because I want to talk about every playoff team's chances in terms of where they stand right now. Come on. Huh? No! Woo! Did I beat it? That was nasty. But yeah, I'll probably have to do another stream because I want to talk about every single team that's currently in the playoff race or in the playoffs. I want to talk about all their chances to do something come January. But I don't know if we can say everybody, no one has an excuse from not making it to the Super Bowl. I think really there's only, you look at the Bills, I think they no longer have an excuse because that's been the biggest quote-unquote rival to the Chiefs. Now that Kansas City's out, there's no reason the Bills shouldn't make the Super Bowl in a wide open AFC. So I think they have a conversation there. Other than that, I don't know if you look at the Broncos or the Patriots and say they have no excuses to now not make the Super Bowl because they're just on the rise now. The two teams you would have looked at would be the Bills and the Ravens, but we don't even know if the Ravens are going to make the playoffs. And that's the whole thing. We don't know. Yeah, sure, chaotic. We don't know if I would prefer if I had no answer. You gotta make me do something here. Sure, since I'm talking to Jesus, sure, whatever. Yeah, sure, we'll go with that. I'm talking to Jesus, it's all good. But legitimately, the Bills are probably the one team you look at and say they got no excuses in this aspect, specifically because, well, that's been your biggest rival, and they're no longer there. And the Bills are still set up to... The funny thing about it is the Bills are still set up to win the division because of the win they had today. They're set up to potentially steal this division. But New England's still in the driver's seat. If the Bills don't win the division, I don't know how you could look at them and say they have no excuses because that means they're going to have to go on the road. And depending on how things go, if the Ravens find a way to win the division, the Bills could potentially be going to Baltimore for the wild card round in the game that many people will sit back and say the winner of this game is going to the Super Bowl because, you know, those are the two teams that they look at and say this is the biggest pressure. Lamar, Allen, you get the whole gist of that. But I don't know if we could sit back and honestly say that there's no excuses for everybody in the AFC. The Broncos have just got on the rise. This new era, the Patriots, are just on the rise. It's too early for me to be saying something like that. At least that's just how I personally feel about it. No, you ain't touching the call, girl. So that's just how I feel about it. But yeah, what a run for the Chiefs. What an actual run for the Chiefs. I'm not going to lie to you, man. It's been one hell of a ride. And at the end of the day, you got to appreciate what they were able to do. I mean, you ain't got to like them, but at the end of the day, what these guys were able to accomplish is something really special, man. What they were able to do is something really special. It's the second greatest dynasty we've ever seen, or arguably the second greatest dynasty we've ever seen. So if this is the end for Kansas City, what a hell of a ride. What a hell of a ride. You can live with the results at the end of the day. But that's beside the point. I know everybody's all focused on the Chiefs now being eliminated. And I will definitely have to do a stream about that to talk about everybody's playoff chances now that the Chiefs are out and it's a wide open AFC. But we got to talk now. It's been about 18 minutes now. My stream's still good, so we can actually get into the conversation here. And we will talk about this. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Ravens flock. What's going on, everybody? How you feeling? The Ravens just put up their most complete performance as a team this year. This was the best game of the season. This was their best performance of the season. This was their most complete performance of the season. Like, legitimately, a performance like this is what we would love to see more of. This has been their best performance. No doubt it's been their best performance, man. No doubt it's been their best performance. So let's actually get into this. I'm going to put this down for a second. Let's actually get into this. We've had our fun here. I'm going to keep the game up here. But I want to get into this and discuss the Ravens in terms of this game. So the Baltimore Ravens went to Cincinnati
in a do-or-die must-win game. It's a must-win game for Baltimore to keep their playoff hopes alive and stay in the race for the AFC North between them and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Baltimore still controls their destiny. If they win out, they win the division. 1 of 4 is completed. They got 3 more games left. They got New England next Sunday night. They're coming to Baltimore. They got Green Bay at Green Bay on prime time. And depending on how things go, I'm telling you this right now, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, if that's for the division, that right there is also going to be a primetime game. Baltimore could end up with 3 primetime games to end the season, and that would be nasty. But in terms of this game, Baltimore went to Cincinnati. Baltimore needed to win to keep their playoff hopes alive. Cincinnati needed to win to keep their playoff hopes alive. Losing this game means Cincinnati would be eliminated. It would be the 3rd straight year they missed the playoffs. So heading into Cincinnati, there was already a lot of animosity because of how things went on Thanksgiving. I think everybody remembers the fact that Baltimore turns the ball over 5 times. Cincinnati walks into Baltimore on Thanksgiving on primetime and smacks them. That left a bad taste in everybody's mouth, and obviously the Ravens were looking to get revenge. They come out here and play the most complete game of the season, and you have to be impressed because they not only dominated the game, they pitched a shutout. Zachary Orr's defense pitched a shutout against Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. I don't know how that happens. I honestly don't know how that happens. Breaking things down from a play-by-play perspective, Baltimore got the ball first to start the game. So here's how things ultimately went. Baltimore got the ball on their opening drive. They actually started around midfield. Well, they didn't start around midfield. They actually started in pretty good field position They started in pretty good field position and got up to around midfield before things ultimately ended in them having to punt the ball. That's just how it is because Lamar got sacked on that opening drive. They're forced to punt the ball. They give it to Cincinnati. Cincinnati punts as well. It goes back to Baltimore. Baltimore punts as well. So to start off the game, Baltimore and Cincinnati's offense was doing virtually nothing. What's going on, Jeremiah? Baltimore and Cincinnati's offense start off the game. That whole first quarter was just nasty. Baltimore's offense couldn't do anything. They were just 2 sacks on 2 drives. Two drive-ending sacks on 3rd down to end the drives for Baltimore's offense. Meanwhile, Ravens' defense did a good job at making a stop because the opening drive for the Bengals, they actually got into field goal range. And Tavius Robinson ultimately got the sack on Burrow, which you got to give it up to Tavius Robinson. Shout out to him. He deserves his money, man. You don't understand how great of a deal that was. Shout out to him. Great signing, and he showed up right off the bat. So glad to have him back out there, man, because with this interior D-line, especially with No Matabike, which we ain't going to talk about that right now, we needed somebody to be that enforcer, and, Robinson showcased exactly why they paid him the money he got, and he gets the Burrow, and he ends up sacking him out of field goal range, so they have to punt the ball. Baltimore punts it, and then we get into the next drive for the Bengals, in which Burrow, on 3rd down, threw the ball a little bit high to Jamar Chase. It goes off of Jamar Chase's hands and gets picked off by Marlon Humphrey. Baltimore then takes the ball in good field position, move into Cincinnati territory, and then Lamar throws the ball right into the hands of Zay Flowers, who can't make the catch. It's right in his hands. It's a perfect throw right into his hands. It bounces off his chest and gets picked off. Back-to-back picks on drives here for the Bengals and the Ravens. They basically they exchange picks. Burrow ends up getting a pick on a tip pass that goes off the hands of Jamar Chase, and then Lamar gets picked off on the tip pass that goes off of the hands of Zay Flowers. Absolutely disgusting. Bengals get the ball, and once again, the Ravens defense responds and forces them to punt. Baltimore then puts together a really great drive, 5 plays, 79 yards. They run the ball really well here with Derrick Henry and Keith Mitchell. They go down the field. They score a touchdown. It was a 3rd down play. Pressure was coming. This was an audible by Lamar Jackson. He saw the blitz coming and audible to a check down to his running back at Rashid Ali to basically counter the blitz. And Ali had free space to run into the end zone. Touchdown Ravens. Ravens take the lead 7-0 here. Cincinnati gets the ball. They pick up a first down, but ultimately they're not able to do much with it. They end up punting the ball. So with 2 minutes left to go in the game, it's a 2-minute offense situation here. Baltimore doesn't get the ball coming out of halftime. Cincinnati does. So Baltimore wants to put together a really strong drive here, put some points on the board, and then from there, they can ultimately have a 2-possession lead heading into halftime. That's exactly what they do. It was a bit chaotic, but they ultimately got it done. 5 plays, 80 yards, 42 seconds off the clock. Lamar Jackson finds Zay Flowers down the field into the end zone for a 28-yard touchdown, and the Ravens take a 14-0 lead into halftime. So that was a hell of a throw by Lamar, and we'll talk about Lamar because this is something that has to be tracked. The healthier Lamar gets, the more he starts to return to form. And his performance today is the best Lamar has looked since the Dolphins game where he threw 4 touchdowns. So since the Dolphins game, we want to say since the Dolphins game, because Vikings, Jets, Bengals, Steelers, these last 4 games, he hasn't looked the best. But, and when he came back, he was fine. But then after that, Bengals game, that's when all of a sudden he had a knee injury, which led to the ankle, which led to the toe. So it's been a whole whirlwind of emotions when it comes to Lamar Jackson's injury status, because we've been getting something about him every week, and he's been missing practices. So yeah, Lamar put up his best performance today since the Dolphins game, which we'll speak on a little bit later. So Ravens go into halftime with a 14-0 lead. Coming out of halftime, Cincinnati goes down the field and actually goes for it on 4th down. They're down 2 scores. And let me tell you something. Joe Burrow in this game was awful. This is one of the worst games of Joe Burrow's career. And I don't know if it's a situation where he just didn't feel comfortable or if he's emotionally checked out. I think it's leaning more towards emotionally checked out, because for some reason on 4th down, you go back and look at the film, on 4th down, he had Jamar Chase. It was like a 4th and 3 or 4th and 4 situation. They just needed to pick up a few yards to get the first down. He had Jamar Chase open underneath, and we know Jamar Chase can make that play. Instead, on 4th down, he throws it up the seam to his tight end, who's getting double covered, and he's not going to make that catch. So I don't know what type of pass selection on 4th down Joe Burrow's going with here, but that's what he ultimately chose to do. So that results in a turnover on downs. Baltimore goes down the field once again. They're able to start moving the ball. Only this time, they had to settle for 3 on 3rd down. Lamar Jackson, pressure's coming from his left. He rolls to his right, throws off his back foot to a wide open Zay Flowers, who could not catch the ball. Could not catch the ball. The ball's in his hands. He doesn't make that catch. That would have been his 2nd touchdown of the game. It would have put the Ravens up 21-0. And Zay Flowers just can't make that catch. And that was a play that everybody looks at and says, this is why we need taller receivers. Because that's a play a taller receiver makes with ease. And that's a play, Zay Flowers, if you want to be a wide receiver 1, you got to make that catch. It's in your hands. It's not a bad throw. It's in your hands. You've got to make that catch. I don't know how he fails to catch that. He's open, it's in his hands, and he just doesn't hold on to the ball. Nobody's pressure. No one's there. No one's there to knock it out of his hands. He just doesn't make the catch. And he's frustrated with himself after dropping that. He was frustrated. Lamar was frustrated. And they showed Todd Monken on a replay. He was frustrated with that drop. I don't know how that happens, but it did. So it is what it is. Baltimore has to settle for a field goal here, and it goes right back to the Ravens. back to the Bengals. And then after that, Bengals and Ravens exchange a punt, because Bengals, they try to move the ball. Punt, Ravens, they go from like the 10-yard line up to around midfield. They've got to punt the ball again, because I believe for once, it was another sack. It was actually back-to-back sacks, I believe. Because I think they got him here twice. Either way, yeah, they got him here twice, where he got sacked twice. He got sacked on 1st down. I think it was a rollout. He got sacked there on the play action. And then he got sacked again on 3rd down. And it's just like, all right, fine, sure. So Baltimore's forced to punt there. We enter the 4th quarter, and this is pretty much where everything goes to hell. Cincinnati's already down 17-0. They actually put together their best drive of the game. They get down to the goal line. 16 plays, 80 yards. They start off at their own 13. They move the ball periodically down the field. They actually convert on a 4th down. Great catch by Jamar Chase, who was being covered by Nate Wiggins. So they move to the goal line, and it ends up being a 3rd and goal situation. And Joe Burrow, he gets pressured by Tavius Robinson, who, by the way, again, so glad he's back. Robinson puts the pressure on Burrow. That forces Burrow to have to get rid of the ball quickly. He throws a terrible pass under pressure. It gets picked off. He threw it right to Kyle Van Noy. Kyle Van Noy picks off Joe Burrow, and then he laterals the ball to Alohi Gilman, and Gilman takes it down the sideline for a pick six, which basically ices the game. Bengals get the ball once again afterwards. They move the ball down the field. They get stopped on fourth down. Turnover on downs here, and then the Ravens just ice the game. So Baltimore walked into Cincinnati and got the 24-0 victory. They dominated the game, and they shut out the Bengals. That was a hell of a performance for Zachary Orr's defense. You have got to give the man credit. It is my job to do both. I know a lot of people will look at me and say I'm a very pessimistic guy in terms of how I'm doing things on this channel. But that's just how things go. Like, I'm always going to be fair here. When the team's not playing well, I'm going to be critical of everybody. But when the team plays well, I'm going to give my flowers. And you have got to give your flowers to Zachary Orr. There's nothing you could say here. This man absolutely deserves his flowers. He absolutely deserves his flowers. This was a hell of a defensive performance by him. There's nothing else that needs to be said. I mean, he did what he needed to do. He did what he needed to do, man. I mean, that was one hell of a performance. That was one hell of a performance. You can't say nothing. I'm being dead serious. That was a hell of a defensive performance by the Ravens, and that was a hell of a game plan by Zachary Orr's defense. Fantastic job. That's what I'm talking about right there. That was the best defensive performance from the defense, and that was the best performance we saw from Zachary Orr in the play calling. Every play call that needed to be made, he made the right calls. He was even disguising some things. That right there is what I point to when I say Zachary Orr has the capability of doing something here. A lot of people think that a lot of people just think I'm a little bit crazy to say that. And I've seen some people say Zachary Orr is just so terrible. I don't think he has the capability of ever doing anything here. I don't agree with that. I have my problems with Zachary Orr, and I don't believe this is the guy right now that would help us get to the Super Bowl with his defense. But that does not mean I don't think Zachary Orr has talent to be a great defensive coordinator here. I absolutely believe he can be. I've been on record saying I think this guy can be a really damn good defensive coordinator one day. I just don't think he's the guy right now. This is my personal opinion. I don't think he's the guy right now to be our defensive coordinator that's going to help this team get to the Super Bowl. Then again, I don't see this team this year getting to a Super Bowl. So it is what it is. But I don't think he's the defensive coordinator right now that's going to lead us to the promised land defensively. However, I've been on the record saying Zachary Orr has talent and he has the capability as a defensive coordinator. And over time, I could see him being a really great defensive coordinator. I just thought it was a bit too early for him. But today, his defense did their job. Shout out to Zachary Orr. Shout out to that defense. They played a damn good game. You can't even... Every stop they needed to make, they made. Every play that needed to be made, they made. When they were in scoring position, they forced turnovers. The defense did everything they needed to do. You can't be mad. They did everything they needed to do. This defense did everything they needed to do. So shout out to Zachary Orr's defense. Matter of fact, let's pull up the numbers right here. Let's speak on it. I have to keep spinning. Yeah, okay. Matter of fact, let's pull up the numbers here. So, let's start with Zachary Orr's defense here, because this is where things get to be very interesting. Let me show you the level of dominance here. Baltimore's defense had 84 total tackles. Cincinnati's defense had 41. The Ravens had 44 solo tackles. The Bengals had 25. So I want to repeat this. The Ravens defense had 84 total tackles. They had twice as many tackles as the Bengals defense had. The Ravens had 44 solo tackles. 44 solo tackles. This is a unit that has struggled to make tackles this year, and they had 84 tackles in this game, with 44 of those being solo tackles. These guys have consistently missed tackles in space, and yet today, every tackle that needed to be made in open field, they made them. They weren't missing tackles. They weren't making mistakes like that. Every tackle that needed to be made, they did it. You have got to give them credit. You got to give them credit. You got to give them credit. We have complained. We have actively complained about these guys' inability. We have complained about these guys' inability to make tackles in open space. They've missed so many tackles. They missed so many tackles. And yet today, they made all the tackles. Dude, Alohi Gilman was making tackles in open space. Gilman, we know he struggles to make tackles, period. And that dude was making tackles in open space on multiple occasions. Matter of fact, let me pull it up here. Alohi Gilman, he had 5 solo tackles. Alohi Gilman had 8 total tackles. 5 of his 8 tackles were solo. Alohi Gilman, who struggles to make tackles, had 5 solo tackles. 5. These guys did what they were supposed to be doing all season long. They have been consistently missing open tackles. One-on-one in open space, they're missing these tackles. Do you know how bad it's looked for much of this season when they have been missing open tackles? They made the tackles today. They made those tackles. I have got to give them credit. They made their tackles. Everybody, whether you were good at tackling or not, everybody was tackling. Everybody was tackling for the Ravens. And I'm going to give them credit for doing that. I have to give them credit for making their open tackles. So yeah, Ravens had 84 total tackles. 44 of their 84 tackles were solo tackles. They had 3 sacks on Joe Burrow today. Travis Jones got a sack. Tavius Robinson got a sack. Mike Green got a sack. Though with Mike Green, his happened, it was during the Hail Mary attempt at the end of the first half. But still, a sack is a sack, especially for a rookie. Honestly, if you look at it, Mike Green this year has, for his rookie year, he has 3.5 sacks. 17 solo tackles, 3.5 sacks. He's putting together a decent rookie year, given the circumstances. So, I got to give the man credit for doing what he needs to do. But yeah, legitimately, everybody was tackling for the Ravens today. A team that constantly misses tackles, everybody was doing it. They got 84 total tackles, 44 of those being solo tackles. 44 of those being solo tackles. And 3 sacks on the game. They also got 2 interceptions. And they had 5 pass deflections. Dude, matter of fact, if you look at it, the Ravens defense, 84 total tackles, 44 solo tackles, 3 sacks, 3 tackles for loss, 5 pass deflections, 10 quarterback hits, 2 interceptions, 1 being a pick 6. I mean, this was a dominant performance from the Ravens defense. Without a doubt, it was a dominant performance from the Ravens defense. Best defensive performance they've had in the Zachary Orr era. To do that to Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow is insane. They gave up no points. They forced 2 turnovers, 1 being a pick 6. They got to Burrow 3 times. They delivered 10 quarterback hits, 5 pass deflections. I mean, they were everywhere doing their job defensively. Fantastic job. Best coaching performance from Zachary Orr to date. Best defensive performance of the Zachary Orr era. Best defensive performance of the season. Nothing but praise for the defense. They didn't do a single thing today that would piss you off. They didn't do a single thing today that would make you mad. Jamar Chase had 132 yards on 10 catches. They weren't letting Jamar Chase go off. A lot of these catches had to be earned. Some of these were on 4th down. I mean, Jamar Chase is going to get his, but they were still doing their job. Joe Burrow, 25 of 39, 225 yards passing, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions, a QBR of 21, and a passer rating of 58.2. No question. One of the worst performances of his career. Not the worst performance, one of the worst performances of his career. One of the worst performances of his career. And you don't expect to see that from Joe Burrow. But they just weren't on it today. They were absolutely not on it today. So, shout out to the Ravens defense. They only gave up 100. They gave up 100 rushing yards. But again, they did a pretty good job overall. You can be satisfied and happy as a Ravens fan with everything you saw here from the Ravens defense. They did their job. Ravens won. Are we ready to make this Super Bowl run? Okay, buddy. I know you're the positive Ravens fan. You know you can't talk to me about that. You know for a fact. I'm going to let you be the positive Ravens fan and talk about Ravens Super Bowl run. Come back when we're going to have a conversation about every team's playoff chances in the AFC. We'll have that discussion soon. So you feel free to come back for that as well. Maybe tomorrow or Tuesday. I'm going to see. I'm going to be honest. I really, these last few days, I've been kind of just, the last few days, I've just been not really, locked in on football, kind of just doing my my own thing. Oh, okay, because why not? I've been kind of just doing my own thing for the most part. Wait a minute. Oh, no. What? Whoa. Oh, no. Okay, I'm going to have to check that a little bit later. But I've been kind of just doing my own thing the last few days. Essentially, I remember that I had these games. I have to go back and replay Stick of Truth, but I beat both the games on my PS4, and I basically transferred them to my PS5. But I have to replay the games. So the games are downloaded on my PS5, but it doesn't have the data from the PS4. So I'm basically replaying the games. I spent the last few days replaying and beating this game. So I beat the game for this one. I gotta go replay and beat Stick of Truth, but yeah, I beaten this game. I gotta replay and beat Stick of Truth. So I'll probably be doing that this week. I got time for that. But yeah, I did that. And then Saturday, I was at Cena's last match. So yeah, I was not streaming the Ravens and Bengals game. Not to mention, I already said I was not going to do this game. I told y'all after the Steelers game, I was not streaming this game. And I wasn't even planning on streaming any more games for the rest of the year. But then they decided, you know what, let's give us back-to-back primetime games against the Patriots and the Packers. So chances are, if I'm here, I'm going to have to stream those games. Whoop-de-doo. Thanks a lot, NFL. Back-to-back. Really. Back-to-back. Who told you to give us back-to-back primetime games? Either way, I was exhausted, man. I was at Cena's last match. I was exhausted. I was not streaming the game today. But the Ravens, defensively, had a fantastic performance. I cannot give this defense any more praise than I've put on them. They did everything they needed to do. They did everything they needed to do. You cannot be mad. There's nothing negative you could say about Zachary Orr's defense today. I mean, this was the perfect performance from them. And again, you got to give the players credit because as much as we want to get on the coaches, as much as we want to get on the coaches for how things are going, you also have to make sure you emphasize that the players are the ones that are playing the game. And if they're not playing their best, it's on them. So as much as you want to get on the coaches' case for these things, we really should be getting more on the players' case, which I do. I always make sure to get on the players' case and the coaches' case. And today the players showed up. Everybody did their job. Roquan Smith led the charge with 14 total tackles, 8 of those being solo tackles. Everybody was making tackles. Everybody was doing their job. Everybody would pass the flag. I mean, it was just a great defensive performance for them. I mean, you got to give credit to the Ravens defense for doing their job. So shout out to the Ravens defense. I cannot give them enough credit for how they performed today. To pitch a shutout against Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow, that's not easy. To perform the way they did, that was a dominance defensive performance. And you've got to give them their full credit for how they played. I mean, you could not be any more proud of how the Ravens defense played. Like, just being realistic here, we can't be any more proud of how they played here. They were exactly what you would expect from a Ravens defense. This is exactly how we want the Ravens defense to play. This is how we wish the Ravens defense would play. Oh my God, I'm not even. Oh wait, okay, let me right here. Just do a little bit of this, do a little bit of that. Yeah, this is exactly how we expect the Ravens defense to play coming into the season. This is what we expected to see. So shout out to the Ravens defense for doing their. What the heck is that? What is this? Oh, okay. All right, we're doing that. So yeah, shout out to the Ravens defense. They did everything they were supposed to do. I can't be mad at all at how they performed today. Ravens did everything they needed to do defensively. Shout out to them. Now let's move on to the offense. Ravens might most probably beat Patriots because wait, let me what the? I ain't worried about what's happening over there. Ravens most probably beat Patriots because of home field advantage. The flock will show up for sure. But at Green Bay and Steelers, Harbaugh will be outcoached as always. At this point, you kind of just have to look at the players on the field. If Harbaugh is going to be outcoached, that is what it is. I mean, we can't do anything else about it. Oh, no. Move out the way. Oh. Oh, no, I messed up. Oh, no. He's gonna summon more crabs. It don't matter. Did he move up here? Let me see. What? I really don't have any. All my techniques are like close. Okay, there we go. So yeah, I mean, my thing about the whole home field advantage, the Ravens flocks to the show because of home field advantage. We're 3-5 at home this year. I just want to point that out. We are 3-5 at home. We have not played well at home this year. Are we 3-5? Let me check that. I want to make sure I'm right about it. Ravens have lost. Let me take a look at this because they've lost a lot of home games this year. They lost at home to the Lions, lost at home to the Texans, lost at home to the Rams, lost at home to the Bengals and the Steelers. We're 3-5. We are 3-5 at home this year. Home field advantage has not exactly been a strong suit for the Ravens this year. We're 3-5 at home, and we're 3-5 at home and 4-2 on the road. We've been the better road team than home team this year. In fact, you'd rather have them play away from the bank this year. So I'm not going to sit back and pretend that we're automatically going to get this. Nah. I think it's going to be a competitive game, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Ravens lose that one. However, we'll focus on the Patriots a little bit later on. Let's get back to this. I'd rather be on the road. The Ravens are 4-2 on the road this year. We'd all rather be on the road than at home. They've been horrible at home. So, yeah. But let's get back to talking about this offense now, because the Ravens offense had some issues that still remain to be the case, but again, they still were able to get it done. So speaking on the Ravens offense, Lamar Jackson today, 8 of 12, 150 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, QBR of 64, passer rating of 114.6. That is easily the best performance Lamar Jackson has put up since the Dolphins game. I mean, this is the best performance he's had the last month. It's the best performance he's had the last month. Easily the best performance he's had the last month. It's not even close. And the thing about it, honestly, his performance would have been even better if Zay Flowers would have done his job completely. It would have been 3 touchdowns for him, no interceptions, and it would have been a masterclass performance from Lamar Jackson in a week that could really use it. So Lamar in this game, honestly, I've been speaking on this a little bit over the last few weeks, but it hasn't mattered because some of these games we've lost and some of these games we've won. Lamar Jackson, the healthier Lamar has gotten, the better he has started to look. When I keep pointing out that Lamar has not been healthy, I'm directly pointing that out because when you look at how Lamar has played, you can clearly see that is actively taking a toll on how he looks on the field, especially with this offensive line. So Lamar Jackson getting healthier and healthier is doing wonders to start to showcase that, athleticism for him. He's starting to use his legs a little bit more, and he's starting to look better and better and feeling more comfortable in the pocket. His mechanics are starting to return. His footwork is starting to return because he can feel a little bit more comfortable without those ankle injuries. Today, he put up his best performance, and if you look over the last 4 games, Lamar has slowly gotten more and more comfortable, getting better and better and better. The numbers just didn't show it. Last week against the Pittsburgh Steelers, Lamar, other than the stupid interception, Lamar played great. It's just the numbers did not reflect that because of the touchdown that was taken away due to them saying it was not a football move for Isaiah Likely. If you're looking at it legitimately, Lamar's been getting better and better. He played well against the Steelers last week. We just lost that game. Played well, but we just lost that game. Simple as that. Played well, but we just lost that game. This week, he plays well, we win the game. Where am I supposed to be going? I could have swore you told me to... Where the heck is Mr. Adams? Hello? What the heck is this guy? What the... Oh, no. Oh, no. Hold on. What the... Hold on. Where is he? Nah. Where is he? You know, hold on. That's the break room. There we go. Okay. That's got to be his office. There we go. No. Wait. Let me steal some stuff here. Give me that. Let me get back on topic here. I'm over here focused on the game. Parsons' ACL injury makes the Packers get... We'll talk about that a little bit later, but I'm not going to sit back and just automatically assume it makes it easier for us. With or without Mike Parsons, our offensive line is still going to give up like 3 or 4 sacks to the Packers. Lamar is going to get pressured all day. So let's get in on the offense. Like we said, Lamar Jackson played well today. This is the best performance he's had in a month, and he's been getting better and better the more and more healthier he gets. The healthier he gets, the more Lamar Jackson starts to return and look more like Lamar Jackson. Oh, wow. Lamar gets healthier, he starts to play better and look like the MVP he is. Shocker. Didn't throw the ball much today. Didn't really need to throw the ball much today. Still did what he needed to do. Zay Flowers, again, could have had 100-plus yards today and 2 touchdowns if he wasn't making some of the mistakes he was making. But, you know, there's nothing I can do about that. You know, it's just, I have to display his headshots where? You know, this is a task for me to do after this, man. I'm not finna... You know, let me get out of here. I don't know where he wants me to put these headshots. Yeah, I bet you can find a spot for my headshot. Yeah, I'm leaving this right here. Let's focus back on this. Want me to put up headshots from? I'll do that later. But yeah, Lamar gets healthy and they start to look better. Wow, can't believe that's possible. As if I hadn't been saying that for a long time, that he's not healthy. This is the healthiest he's looked. You started to see him utilize his legs more because he actually took off. Lamar Jackson took off twice and picked up 26 yards. That's 13 yards in attempt. So Lamar was actually getting himself. He picked up 2 first downs with his legs because he started to take off. He didn't do it much. Only 2 times he took off, but he was really doing his thing. But yeah, Lamar Jackson looking better and better. He's getting healthier and healthier, and he's looking better and better. So that bodes well for the Ravens' chances to try to win the division and make the playoffs. And hopefully do something in January this year. Who knows? Derrick Henry in this game didn't get a lot of carries, but honestly made his impact. And so did Keith Mitchell. Derrick Henry, 11 carries for 100 yards. Keaton Mitchell, 8 carries for 66 yards. You got the 1-2 punch that we're talking about with Derrick Henry and Keaton Mitchell. Why did it take them this long to put this duo together? I have no idea. We should have got this duo together from week 1, or at least within the first month of the season. But they said, you know what? Let's take 12,000 years, even though Keaton Mitchell's healthy. Let's take 12,000 years before we put him on the field and actually let him be a dynamic duo next to Derrick Henry. I don't know what we're thinking, but hey, it's week 15. Might as well try it now with the season on the line, right? Idiots. But yeah, great performance from that running back duo. They had a great performance last week. It's just we didn't win the game against the Steelers. But Lamar did his thing today. Derrick Henry and Keith Mitchell did their thing today. Zay Flowers, again, he's been leading the team in receiving yards all season long. He is going to have over 1,000 yards once again. And you know, he's going to be, you know, leading in targets. I think he's going to be leading in receptions and yards this year. So he's going to have another 1,000-yard season. Good for him. But Zay Flowers could have probably added close to 100 yards and 2 touchdowns if he would have caught the ball and made a few more plays. But he's left some plays on the table. He's left some plays on the table, and that's the frustrating part there. The offense did their job today. When Lamar actually had a clean pocket, he was dicing, and he was finding his players. He was finding his receivers when he actually had time to throw. The problem is Lamar continues to see the amount of pressure that's ultimately going to get him dropped. The offensive line, again, today was not great, but they did better than they did. I think the offensive line was a little bit better than they were last week. They still let Lamar get sacked 4 times, but honestly, 2 of those sacks were on Lamar because those were like coverage sacks, or 2 of those sacks weren't even on the offensive line. It was more coverage sacks. So I don't know if I could put it all on the offensive line, but 2 of those were definitely because the offensive line didn't do well. One of the sacks literally happened on a play action. It was a rollout to the right. Lamar rolls out, looks, and immediately gets wrapped around by a Bengals defender because he immediately saw what was happening there. There was no time to throw the ball away or do anything there. It was horrible. So 2 of those sacks were on the offensive line. Maybe one, if not both of the others that I was looking at, were covered sacks. Either way, the offensive line wasn't great today. It's still concerning, but it was a little bit better than the Steelers game. And it was actually consistent in run blocking today, which is what led to some of the holes opening up and why Derrick Henry had 3 20-plus yard runs and Keaton Mitchell had 2 20-plus yard runs. So good on the defense, good on the offensive line with run blocking. Pass protection is still not where you want it to be, but run blocking was doing their job, and pass protection was at least better than it was last week against the Steelers. So, yeah, offensive line wasn't perfect today, but at this point, you're just hoping for the best. Offense did what they needed to do. Defense carried the team for pretty much all of the game and did their job. And the Ravens, because of the offense doing their job, except in the red zone, and the defense carrying the load, the Ravens walked away with a 24-0 victory here. They advanced to 7-7 on the season. And they keep their playoff hopes, or at least their division hopes, alive. Pittsburgh does have to play tomorrow night against the Miami Dolphins, who, by the way, are also in playoff contention. I'm just putting this out here right now. They're also in playoff contention. They're also in play. The Dolphins are in playoff contention, and honestly, they got a shot to. It's an outside chance, but they got an outside chance to go make the playoffs. So I don't think they're going to take this lying down. To make matters worse for the Steelers, due to a medical situation, which again is specifically because somebody on the medical staff messed up with TJ Watt. Due to a medical situation, TJ Watt ended up having to go to a hospital for a lung situation and got that whole thing settled. So thankfully he's okay, he's fine, he's safe, he's good, but he's not playing tomorrow night. So TJ Watt's not playing in an important game, which is a playoff type game because both teams are fighting for their playoff lives. Miami still has an outside chance of making the playoffs. They just have to keep winning, and they've been revived from 2-7 to 6-7. They've got a shot. They've got a real good shot, and I don't think they have any interest in slowing down here. So the Steelers, if they do end up losing tomorrow, Baltimore will be in first place again. Actually, let me look at this. Would Baltimore be in first place? I don't think Baltimore would be in first place. Let me take a look at. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers would be in first place if I'm looking at it. Because even if we end up having a tie record at 7-7, we lost to them, which made their division record better. But they wait, no, actually, I think we're both 3-2. Let me take a look at the standings right now. Ravens are. Let me see. We're 3-2 because we lost to the Bengals, lost to the Bengals and Steelers, and then we swept the Browns and beat the Bengals. So we're 3-2. The Steelers lost to the Bengals. They haven't lost to the Browns yet. Actually, I think Steelers will still be in first place. Steelers would be in first place even if. Let me take a look at the Steelers real quick. I think the Steelers would still be in first place even if they lose tomorrow because they have a better record in the division because they beat us. Let's take a look at this. They beat the Browns that first matchup. They beat they lost the Bengals. They beat the Bengals the next time. That's 2-1. And then they beat us. They're 3-1 in the division right now. They've still got the Browns and the Ravens to end the season. So Pittsburgh will still be in first place. There's nothing Baltimore can do. Pittsburgh would still be in first place. If Pittsburgh loses to Miami tomorrow, Pittsburgh would still be in first place because they would be 3-1 in the division still, and we're now 3-2 because we lost to Pittsburgh. They still have Cleveland coming up to end their season, but after Miami, their final 3 games will be against the Detroit Lions, against the Cleveland Browns, and against us. So we'll see what happens on Monday night, but next week is going to be tough. They got Detroit and we got New England, so that makes things interesting in that aspect in terms of it. But like I said, Baltimore holds the keys to their destiny. They don't need anybody else's help. They don't need anybody else's help to make the playoffs. If Baltimore goes 4-0 to end this streak, they win the AFC North. That's it. Go 4-0, you win the division. That's it. That's all that needs to be said. That's all that needs to be said. So, yeah. That's kind of just how things go there. So Baltimore offensively took care of their business today. Defensively dominated. And they're still in the race for the AFC North. Honestly, it's not about the short game here. Baltimore has to go 4-0 and they win the division. That's it. Baltimore goes 4-0, they win the division. So it doesn't matter what happens this week with the Steelers. It don't matter what happens with the Steelers next week. Baltimore goes 4-0, which includes beating the Steelers. They win the division. So their focus has to be winning against the New England Patriots on Sunday night next week. They do that, they'll be 2 wins away from clinching a playoff spot and winning the division. Other than that, there's nothing they need to focus on. It'd be cool if the Steelers lose to the Lions and lose to the Dolphins. If they lose to the Dolphins this week and then lose to the Lions next week, it'd be great, but it doesn't do anything for us. We got to go 4-0. You don't go 4-0, you're not guaranteed anything. So they have to go 4-0 to ultimately finish this off. But that's a conversation for another day. One last thing I need to cover here. One last thing I need to cover here is a couple